Hello YouTube, my name's Nero, and today we have some Call of Duty World at War custom zombies in this week's episode of Dear Nero, which of course is the weekly series here on my channel where subscribers send me in fan mail and or fan questions. I do have to go and answer them. To cover on the gameplay today, we're playing a wide variety of maps. I went and tried downloading a bunch of custom zombie maps today, and a lot of these are going to be like my first impressions of the maps themselves. And on your screen it will actually tell you exactly what map that I'm playing, and down in the video description you can find links to those maps in case you guys want to go ahead and download the maps and try them out for yourselves. There's so many custom zombie maps out there that I just like to try all of them. You know, I just go like to zombieminding.com or whatever, and I would just get in there and I'll be like, oh, that map looks cool, download. That map looks cool, download. And I just download a bunch of them, and then eventually I just like hop on World at War Zombies, and I just look through all the maps. I'm like, I don't think I've tried this one yet, and so I just click it and load it up and just start playing with it. Man, I'm telling you, it's a whole lot of fun with the Steam summer sales going on, guys. I'm telling you, with these Steam summer sales happening right now, buy Call of Duty World at War. Right now, I think it's like maybe $15 at the most, and once you buy that, you get all of these zombie maps that World at War already came with, as well as you now have access to be able to download these custom zombie maps. You know, if you're into Minecraft and the things you do with Minecraft, like you can download different kinds of mods and stuff like that for Minecraft and texture packs and stuff, it's the same process, really. All you really need to do is click a download button and it like automatically installs into your mods folder. It's pretty easy and pretty insane, all the awesome custom zombie maps that you guys can try out with Call of Duty World at War custom zombies. So ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to talk about zombies. We're here to talk about Dear Nero. Once again, the weekly series here on my channel where subscribers send me in fan mail and or fan questions. We got a nice little list of questions here today. A lot of them are, of course, going to be pertaining to E3 and the new information that we've learned about Black Ops 3, of course, from E3, but we'll try to cover some other stuff as well. The very first question he's going to write: Dear Nero, E3 had great loads of exciting games like Gears 4, Black Ops 3, and of course Fallout 4. However, I was really hoping to see a Skate 4 from EA. I knew it was unlikely, but I was still hoping that it would be announced. This leads me to the question, what game were you hoping to see at E3 but was not? Keep up the fantastic work. Niall from England. So Niall, the game that I was really kind of hoping as like a surprise game that they would have added to E3 would be a Red Dead Redemption 2. That's what I would have liked to have seen. I loved Red Dead Redemption. It was made by Rockstar. For those of you guys that have never played it, picture Grand Theft Auto, but in like the Old West times. That's really what Red Dead Redemption was. It was a fantastic game. It only came out, I believe, on the Xbox 360, and I want to say PlayStation 3, right? It did come out on PS3 as well, right? I don't know. I only own a 360. But it was one of the best looking games I've ever played. Even to this day, it still looks better than a lot of games that come out on the Xbox One. Like, it's pretty insane how good the game looked. And of course, it was this giant open world in the Old West. They had like all these dynamic events. Like, you just be riding along and suddenly a guy, you know, is tying up this lady or something like that and like putting her on the track, like real like generic Old Western stuff like that. But still, it was funny, it was interesting, and it was just a really cool world, and they told a very good story, and it was just awesome. I loved Red Dead Redemption. So the idea of a Red Dead Redemption 2 would have been so cool, but of course that was not actually announced. So I'd love to see a Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, as well as PC, because I know Red Dead Redemption didn't come out on the PC. It would be so cool if that were to happen, but unfortunately it didn't. But we did get a lot of awesome games that came out of this year's E3, so I guess it's a good trade-off. Next question, he's going to rate: Dear Nero, I was watching some of the early access footage from Black Ops 3, and I realized that it looks a lot like Borderlands and Titanfall with some Destiny thrown in there. What is your opinion on the new art design in Call of Duty Black Ops Destiny Titanlands 3? What do the numbers mean edition? From Josh in South Carolina. So Josh, I talked about this a little bit on Twitter yesterday. I really like the art style in Black Ops 3. What I've always kind of liked about the Black Ops games, or at least going into Black Ops 2, the other games maybe not so much, but Black Ops 2 definitely is, it almost has a cartoony look to it in a way. Like, it's just so colorful and so vibrant that the game itself almost has a cartoony feel to it in some respects. And I love the art style that we see in Black Ops 3 so far. Of course, whenever you look at a new Call of Duty game, it looks so much different than any of the other Call of Duty games that we have seen in the past. That's one of the coolest things about it. You know, you look at Modern Warfare 2 versus Modern Warfare 3, there's a clear, distinct difference in the UI, in the textures, and the gun models, and everything like that. It just looks so much different. You look at Black Ops 2 versus Call of Duty 4, you look at Call of Duty Ghosts versus Advanced Warfare, every single game has its own unique shall we say, art style, color palette, and user interface. It has all kinds of different crazy stuff like that, and I love the fact that it looks a lot different. I also love the fact that it looks really good. In my own opinion, looking at the footage that we've seen of Black Ops 3 so far, the footage does again look a lot like Titanfall, but it looks like Titanfall and Borderlands and Black Ops 2, just like you said, just kind of all came together and just were thrown together, and it just looks really, really good. The best part about it is it's going to be a bright, vibrant, and beautiful looking game. That's the thing I'm most excited for. The game itself, from all the maps and all the gameplay that I've seen so far, all the maps are going to be bright, they're going to have color, and it looks fantastic. I'm definitely a giant fan of the art style, but I would say that your criticism, I would suppose, because I'm detecting a bit of sarcasm, but at the same time, maybe there's a bit of truth there in your question when you say, well, I think about the new art design in Call of Duty, Black Ops, Destiny, Titanlands 3. All of those games may have a kind of similar art style because they all are like the same concept. There's so many games out now that are like the same kind of idea. Futuristic shooter, right? That is what Black Ops 2 kind of was. Of course, it was set in the near future, but it's still set in the future with other futuristic stuff. Of course, Titanfall is futuristic. Of course, Destiny is futuristic. Of course, Borderlands. Is Borderlands futuristic? I'm not even sure the exact timeline for Borderlands, but it's set on a whole different planet and a different galaxy and stuff like that. And of course, things over there don't work exactly the same as they would here, on Earth. So all those games kind of have the same principle in that they are a futuristic shooter. So a lot of them are going to look the same. It's just a matter of the little differences that they have between them, right? And kind of combining all of them into one game, I would say Black Ops 3 looks pretty good. I definitely like the way it looks so far. Next question, he's going to write, Dear Nero, what are your first thoughts and impressions of Star Wars Battlefront made by DICE and EA? I know you're not a huge fan of Star Wars, but the game looks very impressive. Thanks, Pags. So Pags, I was nearly blown away by what we saw of Star Wars Battlefront at E3. It looked fantastic. Again, just like we were just talking about with Titanfall and Destiny and Borderlands and Call of Duty, we have all of these shooter games that are set in the future. We have all kinds. There's no shortage, I should say, of futuristic first-person or even third-person shooter games on the market, right? Of course, we got Gears 4 coming. And we got Doom coming. We've got a lot of these futuristic feeling shooters coming out. But Star Wars Battlefront looks awesome to me. On the premise that it's supposed to be futuristic, it's Star Wars, right? Star Wars has been futuristic for several decades now. I don't even know when the first one came out. I want to say the 70s? I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty positive it was around the 70s when the first Star Wars came out. So it's always tried to be futuristic. It's always what it's been like. And I like the idea of having the lasers. I like the idea of having, again, as somebody that's not a giant fan of Star Wars, having the giant robot guys walking along and having those actually be part of the fights that we're going to be having all the different kinds of weapons. And again, they're all going to be really futuristic style weapons. And from there, you have the ability to do different things with them and be able to have very unique feeling guns in that game. It's something I'm definitely pretty excited for, as well as somebody, again, that's not really a giant fan of Star Wars. I never have been, maybe playing that game, and this is what ended up happening to me while playing Hearthstone. Maybe while playing that game, I'll develop an interest in Star Wars, and maybe from there I'll start wanting to learn more about the universe and more about the lore and the history of the series. Maybe I'll want to go back and watch some of the movies. Maybe I would get into reading some of the graphic novels and stuff that they have. Same thing happened to me with Hearthstone, which is, it's an evil idea, but again, this is something that could work. Star Wars Battlefront could get more people into Star Wars the same way Hearthstone was designed, and also Heroes of the Storm was designed to get people into the other Blizzard games, right? So when they released Hearthstone, it's a free-to-play card game, right? It's a very fun, addicting card game that a lot of people play. I'm sure you guys have at least either tried it or played it, right? But Hearthstone itself is actually set in the Warcraft universe, right? So all of the cards, all of the heroes, all the abilities and stuff like that, they are all things that exist within World of Warcraft, the biggest, most popular MMO game in the world, right? And so as somebody like me that never played WoW, and I started playing Hearthstone, I would play that game a bunch, and then after a while, I'm like, so who is this Garrosh Hellscream warrior guy that I keep playing as? Who are these Kor'kron elites that I keep throwing down? Who's Gromosh Hellscream? I notice he has the same last name as Garrosh, And eventually or at least what I did, is I started getting on wiki pages, just reading about these people, until eventually I got interested enough in the story and the characters that I wanted to try out WoW, obviously. And then you look at the same thing with Heroes of the Storm, which which is kind of like a League of Legends MOBA style game, but it's all Blizzard characters from like all the different Blizzard series like Diablo. You have, of course, World of Warcraft as well as StarCraft. You basically take all the heroes and villains and side characters and everything like that from those games, and you throw them all into Heroes of the Storm as like a MOBA game, and it's like, okay, so you're gonna start playing this MOBA game, then maybe while playing a bunch, you're like, who is this Nova girl I keep running around with? She's very fun to play with, and I hear her talk a lot. I kind of want to learn more about this character that I'm playing so much, and you get on like a wiki page, you look up a little about this Nova girl, and then eventually you're starting to play StarCraft. Like, it could snowball into that effect. So the idea of Star Wars Battlefront is, again, something that I think I might actually get me into the Star Wars series. I think I could actually get interested in Star Wars by playing the game, and just from a game perspective, it looks like a very fun shooter game, and it's got lasers, and it's got, of course, the giant robot things, and it's got the whole Empire versus the Rebels and stuff. It just seems interesting. I'm definitely going to be trying it out. Probably going to be doing a lot of videos of it over on Nero's Let's Plays, my other YouTube channel, when the game actually comes out. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, because of the exclusivity deal that has been moved to PlayStation, do you think that MLG, UMG, and COD Championships will move to PlayStation for the console that will be used at gaming events? Thanks, Jackson from Ohio. Go Bucks. So this is actually a question I got a ton of, like seriously, like north of 10 questions all around this same topic, with the idea that the exclusivity deal, meaning that the DLC is going to be coming first over to PlayStation, and the beta for Black Ops 3 is going to be coming first over to PlayStation. People are wondering, of course, there's been some pro players have actually come out and talked about this as well. They think that competitive Call of Duty and the Call of Duty esports scene is also going to be making the transition from Xbox One over to PlayStation 4. And there's actually an entire movement, if you can even call it that, on Twitter, where people are typing in, hashtag Xbox or We Riot, because there's so many people upset that Xbox is no longer the exclusive platform, I would suppose, for Call of Duty. A lot of people are upset about that, and I suppose rightfully so. If you're used to having something and then they take it away and give it to someone else, you're going to be a little bit upset about it. But I've always kind of thought, they're screwing over the fan base and the community as a whole, and regardless if people on Xbox get it first or people on PlayStation get it first, it's still, at the end of the day, Activision screwing off at least half of their player base, which is not a good thing for people in general. And of course, I made fun of the entire idea, because initially, if you want to learn a bit about Xbox or We Riot, initially, as soon as you hear that, you're like, really? You're going to riot because your platform is no longer the exclusive platform? Like, I hate console exclusivity. Now give the exclusive rights to the game to my console. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Shouldn't you be trying to protest the idea of console exclusivity rather than promoting it by saying we should have the exclusive rights, not PlayStation? You see what I'm saying there? Instead of saying that you want exclusivity to happen, why don't you protest the entire idea of exclusivity happening as a whole in gaming? Because let's face it, console exclusivity or games exclusivity in general, where games only come out for a certain platform, is not a good thing for the consumer. It never has been, and it never will be. Right, that's what I initially thought. And then, of course, people brought to my attention, like, well, we're more worried about the entire idea of competitive Call of Duty and esports, and people are going to be moving over to the PlayStation. And the idea and the argument that was brought up to me was, Nero, we like competitive Call of Duty. We are amateur players. We want to go pro someday. We've invested all this time and money into the Xbox. We purchased the Xbox One. We've purchased SCUF controllers. We've purchased Control Freaks. We've purchased these headsets. And we've spent a ton of time playing and honing our skills on the Xbox, and now they're just suddenly moving over to PlayStation. If a competitive Call of Duty were to do that, all of these aspiring young pro players, the people that are going to be the future of Call of Duty esports, they are going to have to move over to PlayStation, because that's what all the events and everything is going to be ran on. It's going to be ran on PlayStation. Again, if it moves over there. I haven't actually seen a confirmation on this, but that's what everyone's thinking is going to happen. From that perspective, I understand why you would not want that to happen. I picture it, and of course it's not an exact parallel, but I can picture it being something along the lines of, picture my YouTube channel here, right? I've been a YouTuber for ages now, and I've been doing it professionally for about 3 years now. So the idea I've kind of, the parallel I've kind of drawn in my head is, imagine if YouTube got rid of its monetization program and I had to move on to another video site, or I had to move over to Twitch, making that transition when really I was fine where I was before. Now I have to make this complete transition. That seems like a lot of work, and it's like, why would you guys do this? Why would you mess with something that's, already going pretty well? And I can understand why people would be upset about that, but I think the number of people people that are actually going to be affected by it are pretty slim. Amateur players, of course, don't make really any money from playing Call of Duty, or do they make a small amount of money from winning like local tournaments and stuff like that. They probably can't afford to make the full transition over to PlayStation. Of course, you have like the entire aspect of like you have your friends list, and you got the people that you play with, and the acquaintances that you've made on that particular console, and just all your time and investment that you have with your accounts and with the people that you know on these consoles. I can understand why people would be upset if they were to move over to PlayStation. It would definitely be a big deal. For, of course, the top end, the professional players, they can more than afford to move over to PlayStation. I understand that, but it's for the amateur players that it's really going to affect. So if that actually happens, I do feel for you guys. That would be a bad situation. But again, it's a perfect example of why exclusivity is a bad thing. It is a terrible thing. But of course, in MLG, which I'm not a big esports fan, you guys know that, I don't know what the solution would be. You kind of have to pick a platform and have that be the universal competitive platform. Otherwise, it would be even more difficult for everybody. You know, you think it'd be bad if they were to exclusively move over to PlayStation. What if they were to alternate events and kind of rotate them in that Xbox is this event, but PlayStation is this event? I think people would have a lot of difficulty with that, right? And again, I don't know too much about what I'm talking about in this subject, but that would be pretty hard in general. Imagine if both of them were working. So they kind of have to pick one, and the one that they've picked over the years has been Xbox. So I think best case scenario was they would kind of leave it at Xbox, because anyone that has any aspirations of becoming like a competitive or an amateur or a pro level Call of Duty player, you know, they probably have already gotten most of what they need for the Xbox system, rather than having to make them go out and purchase all these things for PlayStation. So it's definitely a whole can of worms. But overall, guys, exclusivity in gaming, isn't it great? Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, have you ever considered adding a physical aspect to Dear Nero by having a P.O. box? It would be cool to be able to send letters for the series, and it adds another layer of interaction. Thanks, Black Scarecrow, also known as Liam from previous weeks. So I've considered the idea of getting a P.O. box here for the channel. There's some definite upsides, but there's also some downsides. One of the upsides is actually get fan mail. And I think fan mail would be pretty cool. People sending letters, people sending pictures or postcards or what have you. I think that would be pretty cool. I love reading Dear Nero and, you know, talking to somebody. Like, here's a spoiler. The person that wrote the next question that I have here on my list is from Ireland. He's all the way over there in freaking Ireland. You know, if you were to send a postcard from there, that would add more of a physical aspect to it. It'd be pretty cool to see that rather than just reading text, you know. But on the other side is some creepy stuff can happen with P.O. boxes. I've heard stories of YouTubers, and this is not even a joke, they had like, you know, heads of kittens sent to them in their P.O. boxes and stuff like that. So there's of course a bit of downside, because there are some crazies out there in the world. As much as I don't like to use the word crazy, I think it's an accurate word. I think it describes those kind of people pretty well. But I think maybe is a good answer for will we be having a P.O. box in the future. That's something I may consider doing. It's just not something I'm not entirely positive if it would be the best thing in the world. But I gotta say, I love getting any kind of mail or any kind of thing sent to me by subscribers. If you go to my Twitter page, which is twitter.com/NeroTweets, I also have the Twitter handle for NerosCinema, but that is mainly for upload updates. But if you go to twitter.com/NeroTweets, it'll take you to my Twitter page, and from there you can look at my favorites, and if you scroll through my favorites, it is all just fan art that people sent in. I love getting fan art. Like, it's probably my favorite thing about doing YouTube is when people like make some kind of fan art and they actually send it to me. It's seriously like my favorite thing in the world. So yeah, I mean, if you guys want to send stuff on Twitter and stuff like that, that works out very well. I usually see it pretty easily, but the idea of a P.O. box is an interesting idea and something that I may pursue in the future. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I've been playing Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel. Today, Xbox announced backwards compatibility for Xbox One, and I was wondering if Borderlands is worth buying. Keep up the great work, Dylan from Ireland. So Dylan, short and sweet answer for it. If you liked Borderlands 2 and you liked the pre-sequel, I think you'll totally dig Borderlands 1. I've done a full playthrough of the story mode over on Nero's Let's Plays. I'm going through the DLC on that game as well. I'm actually on the final DLC as I'm recording this. And yeah, it's a fun game. If you liked Borderlands 2, you'll like Borderlands 1. It's a lot different. The UI is a lot different. How the mechanics of the game works are a bit different. Of course, the graphics are a bit different, but you can see a lot of things that happened in Borderlands 2, and you can see how it was set up by the original Borderlands game. You get to see Firestone before it was changed, which was an iconic area in the Borderlands series. It's a very good game. Yes, you should try it out if you're a fan of the other two Borderlands games. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I've noticed that you play a lot of Blizzard games, and it sounds like you like the company and its games. My question is, do you have any intent on playing Heroes of the Storm, their newest game? Thanks in advance, and greetings from Holland. And this person did not leave his or her name, but there is a smiley face. So we're going to go ahead and go with smiley face. So how do I have any intention of playing Heroes of the Storm? I have played it. It's a free-to-play MOBA game, similar to League of Legends, similar to Dota. But again, like I discussed earlier in the video, it is all Blizzard characters. People from WoW, people from Diablo, as well as people from StarCraft. Now, I played it, but I wasn't very good at it. There's something about the idea of a MOBA game that just doesn't entice me to want to play it. It's a slow-paced, it's definitely very strategic, and it's a game genre that I'm not super into. I have played a bit. They rotate free-to-play characters. I haven't spent any money on the game because I haven't played it a lot. And they rotate the free-to-play characters quite a bit. The two characters I played the most were Arthas as well as Uther. I think I liked playing Uther the most, I think. It's kind of like a support/healer. And I like playing that class a bit, but just it's so confusing and so difficult to learn. Although I've heard that Heroes of the Storm, as compared to like League of Legends or Dota, is like the easiest MOBA game to learn, but still it's pretty difficult to pick up on, I think, the little nuances of the game and just how things work and how the meta game works and stuff like that. So I've tried it. I'm just not super into it, but who knows, that could change in the future, definitely. And you talked about Heroes of the Storm being their newest game. Their other newest game, which is going to be coming out sometime soon, well, not really soon, I should say, is going to be Overwatch, which is going to be a shooter game, like a strategic shooter game, kind of in the same line as Team Fortress. And each class is going to have like its own specific role and things that you have to work well together, and there's all these crazy guys, and I'm looking forward to Overwatch as well. I think that's going to be a pretty cool game. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I recently bought Borderlands 2 Game of the Year Edition and Call of Duty World at War. I've got to say, I'm loving them. My question to you is, what games did you buy during the Steam summer sale this year? Jacob from Illinois. So Jacob, first and foremost, man, Borderlands 2 and Call of Duty World at War on the PC, so good. Of course, we're playing World at War Custom Zombies right here, man. It's so much fun. What have I purchased on the Steam summer sales this year so far? Not a lot, but I've gotten some games I've been pretty interested in. You know, if you're ever interested in a game, you're like, yeah, I kind of want to buy it, but meh, probably not. I don't know. And then you see it's on sale for like 75% off or 50% off. You're like, yeah, I'll buy it now. Why not? What the heck? So I purchased Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I got CSGO because a lot of people play it, a lot of people love it, and I figure I should probably give it a shot. I probably won't make videos out of it or anything, but I downloaded it. I'm going to probably give it a bash. I got Banished, which is a city building survival game for the most part. You basically build a little community in a little city, and it's very hard. You have to survive the winter, and apparently it's a very, very challenging game, and it just looks interesting. It's like a strategy game that I think I might like. Guns of Icarus Online, which is basically you're flying around in ships, and you're going to be fighting other ships in the air and stuff. It just looks interesting. A lot of other YouTubers have done videos and stuff on it, so it looks interesting from what I've seen of it so far. Interested in giving that a bash. We have Prison Architect, which is another game that a lot of people have tried. I just always kind of looked at it. It's like, yeah, that could probably be pretty fun, but I just never purchased it. And I saw that it was on sale. Like, I'll get it. A game for like $1 that I bought was Stalingrad, which is a World War II RTS game. So you're basically just going to be fighting battles of World War II in an RTS fashion, and it was like $1. And so I'm like, it's called Stalingrad. I liked what I saw from the trailer. The review, like 98% of the reviews are positive. I'll give this game a bash for $1. And I also got Trials Fusion. Like, I haven't bought like a ton of games really, and Trials Fusion, of course, is a platformer game where you are on motorcycles, and I'm sure you've seen lots of videos of it on YouTube because a lot of people do videos with it because it's a fun game. I've played on Xbox, and I'm interested to try it on PC. So, yeah, those are the games I've bought so far. I haven't bought a ton of them, but I'm the kind of guy that likes to play, a small number of games. I think there's gamers out there that they have a wide variety of games, like ton of games, but they only put a small amount of time into each one of those games. Whereas somebody like me, I have a small amount of games that I play, but I put an absurd amount of time into the games that I do play. So I'll give these games a bash. Who knows? Maybe I'll turn out and end up liking these games a whole lot. We'll have to see. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, how long has YouTube been a full-time job for you, and what was your day job before NerosCinema went big? Thanks, Carson from South Carolina. Well, thank you, Carson, for calling my channel big. It's growing. I love that. I'm so happy with where my channel's been going. I'm happy with where Nero's Let's Plays is going as well. Both channels are doing pretty good at the moment. But how long have I been a full-time YouTuber? About 3 years now. Ever since the day I got partnered and I kind of made a full-on decision. I'm like, I'm going to go all out with this YouTube thing, and I'm going to try my best at it every single day. And so it's been about 3 years I've been doing that. And what was my my job before I did that? Well, I worked at Walmart. I worked as what they called a second shift inventory associate. Essentially, I worked second shift, so it was 4 to midnight, 4 to 11, somewhere in there. It's been, again, like 3+ years since I worked there. But I unloaded trucks and stocked shelves and did the freezer and stuff like that at Walmart. And before that, I did a little bit of customer service for AT&T. Like, I was the guy that you called and complained about when your bill was too high. Did that for a small amount of time as well. But yeah, those were the jobs I did before YouTube. I've been doing YouTube full time for about 3 years now. Next and final question. He's going to write, Dear Nero, how do you feel about Hearthstone adding a new game mode? It came out today, guys. It's freaking awesome. It's called Tavern Brawl, and if you guys want to check it out, there's going to be a video of it over on Nero's Let's Plays. By the time the Dear Nero goes up tonight, it's definitely going to be live over on Nero's Let's Plays, and it's about 40 minutes playing the new Tavern Brawl game mode. It's freaking awesome. This week is a Ragnaros versus Nefarian kind of brawl with really awesome decks, and it's a whole lot of fun. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to go ahead and play it, because, of course, Hearthstone is free, and you can just hop in there. Of course, you have to actually, I believe, have to have a hero up to level 20 to be able to play it, but by this point, everybody should have a hero up to level 20. So if you guys can't access it for whatever reason, feel free to go watch my video. Even if you have accessed it, go ahead and watch my video, because it's pretty fun and lots of laughs, and it was awesome, because Hearthstone's a great game. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is this week's episode of Dear Nero. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and if you did, please be sure to leave a rating where you guys feel it deserves. If you guys would like to submit your questions for next week's episode of Dear Nero, simply send me a personal message here on YouTube. Very, very simple. Go to my YouTube channel, go to the About tab. From the About tab, you should find a button that says Send a Message, and from there, send your message for next week's episode of Dear Nero. If I could suggest just one thing, it would be having Dear Nero as the first couple words in your message. That way, when I'm scrolling through all my messages, I can easily find the ones that were specifically sent for that week's episode of Dear Nero. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to leave a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.